This is a difficult one for me, man. You know I'm a Raiders fan, and I root for the team, and I wish nothing more for Raiders fans everywhere that this team gets back to winning championships. But the narrative has changed in Oakland. Just about 2 years ago at the press conference introducing Dennis Allen as the head coach, Reggie remarked that he had looked at the cap situation and, you know, it was manageable. I think he said the team will be fine and nothing wholesale would need to be done. And Dennis Allen emphasized at that press conference that there was talent on both sides of the ball, that there was enough talent to compete at the highest levels of the NFL, and that there was talent to compete for a championship in 2012. Well, the team then went out in 2012 and went 4-12 after having been one game removed from the playoffs the year before. And by the way, the year before, that coaching staff didn't have the luxury of having Carson Palmer for the off-season, mini camps, training camp, and the preseason, whereas the 2012 staff did. Now, look, I believe that continuity is important. I really do. I argued with Al about that all the time. We had so many arguments about, well, about a lot of things, but about the importance of continuity. But at some point, you have to say, what is more important, keeping the same person in place or evaluating and considering and making sure you have the right person in place?
Is Dennis?
Amy Trask was right. The team did not have to be broken down to its smallest elements. That was a choice. And because we don't really know what goes on behind the scenes, the question is only whether it was Mark Davis's choice or whether it was his football man, Reggie McKenzie's choice. I had to come to a different conclusion and a different way of rooting for the team during the time since Al Davis died, because I came to the realization that what we have been dealing with is essentially a project which has been Reggie McKenzie and whoever else taking the Raiders and essentially making them and dealing with them as if they were an expansion team. The fact that everyone in the organization who was a football person either resigned or was fired. We have a whole, literally, except for maybe secretaries within the organization, a whole new organization. And for us as just fans, we know how much the roster has been changed and how few players, a small handful, very small handful of players are left from the pre-Al Davis days, and that seemed to have been Reggie McKenzie's first project, was to clear the roster. The fact that McFadden is still on the team gives them a kind of a face of the old Raiders, and of course the most important person related to that is the fact that they brought Charles Woodson back, which all the fans love, and Woodson's a great player, and this has nothing to do, my comment has nothing to do with Charles Woodson's ability, but it only relates to the fact that it was for the fans to feel continuity, even though in reality this is a whole different thing, and that the Raiders were taken back and dealt with as if this was a brand new franchise and it was an expansion team. I saw at the time that Reggie took over and he brought in that other guy, Red Pen. I would see comments in other people's videos where people were talking about that the Raiders would be competitive in 4 or 5 years. And at the time, because I was looking at it from the end of the Hugh Jackson era, the 8-8, the two back-to-back 8-8 seasons, I thought 4 to 5 years was a ridiculous number. But they were right. They were right also. And it was because of the fact that the decision was made at the highest level, or like I said, somewhere between Mark Davis and Reggie McKenzie, that this would be torn completely down to the ground and that they would start over. And my question for you guys is, how long would it take dealing with this as if it were an actual franchise, new franchise, an expansion team? How long would it take for an expansion team to become a successful team, a competitive team? And from my perspective, 4 or 5 years would be about the amount of time that it would take. Given the hire of a terrible coach in Dennis Allen, a coach that I never saw outcoach anybody. Any win they had was because their players were better and they played better on that day. Dennis Allen never outcoached anybody. You're welcome to tell me a day that he did, but I watched all the games he coached. He never outcoached anybody. So the question is, how long would it take expansion team to become competitive? And the fact that we're in the 4-year window right now for the Raiders, I would expect 4 to 5 years would actually be the amount of time that it took. Discuss. I wanted to shout out Simone Raider, who was one of the people who came in late on the video. Good looking out, man. You see, I've added you to the recommended videos. I've always been a subscriber of yours. I watch your videos. And a shout out to everybody else who came back in. Appreciate it. This channel is not going to be like anyone else's channel. We all have our own lanes. And so if only the people who I talk to, the people who I've shouted out, and the fans who are often in you guys' videos, comment sections, if only they come in and I end up with 50 subscribers, great. That'll be the fan base I'm looking at. Anyone else is welcome. I will make this note though. This is a Raider channel. This is a Raider fan channel. Any other fan of any other team, Broncos, Kansas City, whoever, you can come here too. But there's not going to be any disrespect allowed. And I'll delete you and I will block you. If you come in with some craziness about the Raiders, you can take that somewhere else. Till next time, peace.